This is the AI Assisted Organization podcast with your co-host, myself, Piers and Aalok, and my co-host and co-founder of Implement AI, Dr. Aalok Shukla. Hello, Aalok.
Hey, Piers, how are you?
I think you'll be jealous. I've got my large Hadron Collider mug.
I have my
daughter.
Brocker. I have my Brocker.
Right, okay. And my daughter, she sent me. She goes, "You pay for all that school. That's what you get, a mug." That's what it is. So we've got quite an interesting one today. So we're going to talk about some, absolutely insane developments in artificial intelligence. We think everybody knows about this stuff, but obviously a lot of people don't because we're sort of immersed in it. So some developments just show you. We'll talk about this exponential curve, but we're going to talk about that, where we are on it, and this is a good evidence that it's sort of ticking up. We've got some events, so we probably see us publicizing quite a few events. If you signed up, you'll get some emails about it, or if not, check our social media. The main one's the Elite Business Live workshop that we're doing. So it's like an interactive breakout at the Elite Business Live event. So if you can get down there physically, then get down there. It's in St. Paul's. It's on the 13th of March. So we're going to do
location.
Yeah, it's just a hotel, just literally next to St. Paul's in central London. And we're doing an interactive breakout session called How to Build an AI-Assisted Organization. And what we're finding is that, we talk to a lot of our growing list of clients now, which is amazing, but it's important that people understand the basics really, because the technology is moving very, very quickly. And if you're sort of still here, that asymmetry of information, the ability to catch up it can be quite a struggle. So that's what we're trying to do to help you do that.
We find that coming down physically in person has been a breakthrough for many people, and we highly recommend that because many people have a block in their mind when it comes to AI, and they sometimes have questions they don't have. And we often find the questions and the conversations we have in the interactive, Q&A sessions with the audience is some of the most insightful bits, because it really helps people get what the opportunity is. So we highly recommend you come down for this live event if you want to kind of break through and get to that next level, because right now, the people that are becoming the winners in their sectors, this is where it's all starting.
Yeah, we mentioned that in last week's pod, actually, the McKinsey research, that the people that are becoming AI leaders are getting ahead and likely to stay ahead as well. I'm doing a few keynotes in early March, 6th, 7th of March at the AI and Big Data shows. There's the AI and Big Data show in London, and there's a Tech London show. So I'm going to do a keynote at the Tech London show, and I'm doing a fireside chat about, again, implementing AI in your business at the AI and Big Data show. So we're looking forward to that. So today we're going to go through the news. There's some mind-boggling news, and so also, as we always say, our news is always focused on AI for business, and not sort of consumer or ways of using AI to draw pictures for your kids, which is all very exciting, clearly. But it's really about how you implement it for your business. And our theme, we've got this theme really in Q1 this year, going back to basics. So last week was about our foundational white paper about building an AI-assisted organization. This week, we're going to be talking about and reintroducing, because you can go and read it. Just go to, I'll put the QR codes up in a minute. Go on our website, go to AI, implementai.io/AI-toolkit, and you can download our white papers. I wrote one called The Augmented Workforce. It's about the future of AI agents. So we're going to be augmented as humans, not replaced for a long period of time. So we're going to talk about that today.
Gives a new word to the meaning hybrid workplace.
It does. Let's just put up the QR code, actually. So if you haven't got the toolkit, you can go and get that. So there's been some bonkers news. We're going to start with that, which is OpenAI. This is the organization that built ChatGPT. So it's becoming one of the leaders now, if not the lead already. They launched literally out of the blue. Just announced it on their blog and on Twitter, Sam Altman, a text-to-video model. Now, you might think, okay, so what, we had that for a while. So you had things like Runway ML, we've talked about quite a bit on the pod, where you type in a prompt and it creates a scene, and you were getting kind of 4 seconds, and then it was 8 seconds. And the issue was that if you've seen these AI videos, they flicker a lot because you get your 4 seconds. What you had to do then was take the last frame of that video, because obviously there are 24 sort of frames and 24 to 30 frames a second in the video. And you took the last frame and you tried to extrapolate from that. However, at that point, the AI would always change something, so it flickered a lot. Now, what they launched is, and again, remember, we always say this, AI is the worst today it's ever going to be. So what they're launching is not what they've got back in the tool shed. So they launched, I think it was ChatGPT 4 was it March last year? But they had that 6 months before. So what we're seeing now is just Mark Altman's also said this, that they're kind of easing us into what's possible. Anyway, so what this is, you can write a prompt, go and look on my social media as well. I did a little video about it on LinkedIn, and you get 60 seconds, which is quite a long period of time, of video. And when I say video, I mean it understands physics, it understands reflections, it understands, they've got to fly through an old Wild West town. There's horses, some horses have necks that are too long. But again, 6 months ago, you might have seen the meme going around of Will Smith eating spaghetti. There's spaghetti everywhere. It's not even going in his mouth. It's just kind of spawning out of nowhere and disappearing. And he's actually retweeted a real video of me eating spaghetti as a bit of a laugh. But this is unbelievable. And the unbelievable part was freak people out, because we all consume video. Video is the hardest thing to do, is that it's so real. It's HD. It's going to be twice as good within a year. And people just cannot understand how the physics works. So OpenAI is saying that they've got some emergent capabilities have appeared in this model that allow it to understand physics.
Yes. So let's not call it text to video. It's basically a world simulator.
It's like Unreal Engine, isn't it?
Yes, exactly that. It's exactly that. So the thing is, to create text to video, it learned how objects interact in the world. Like, for example, I watched a video of these two pirate ships battling each other in a cup of coffee, and you see the coffee like swirling and the droplets, and you see the behavior of the ships and everything like this. And I've seen, for example, like animals close up. I've seen like octopus. I've seen like even a bird's eye and human eye. Like, I would not know that this is not.
But that was why though. So water, for example, was the hardest thing to do in CGI. I think that's why Avatar
or hair.
Yeah. That's why Avatar, I think it took him so long to do one based around water. But that coffee cup you mentioned, the coffee, you can see the waves, smashing inside the cup and reacting.
So let's just say, first of all, Shutterstock, Getty Images, all these sorts of businesses. I mean, it's gonna be challenging when you can have like perfect HD, whatever you want in video form whenever you want it, right?
Well, it gets better. So 11 Labs. So 11 Labs, as you know, we're a partner. We've got 11 Labs grants that implement AI. They have launched, I guess this was also coming, the ability to create the sound effects on the fly.
Yeah.
So imagine now you create a video of a horse, I don't know, some horse walking down some cobblestone street in London back in the Victorian period, and it can look at the video and say, okay, that's a horse on cobbles. So it creates the sound that matches when the horse's hooves are hitting the ground. And they've launched that. Well, they previewed it.
I saw like they were putting sound effects to GIFs. That one with like Homer Simpson where he's like in a hedge and he suddenly starts like going back into the hedge to disappear into the hedge. Basically, like they released the soundtrack track for that, like so you can hear the leaves rustling and everything. But it's insane, basically. Like, I mean, the creative like filmmaking, corporate video, advertisements, all those sorts of like video content for adverts and stuff is going to become much more fantastical. And like, really, what's going to be the difference between Coca-Cola and a teenager in the living room? Like, what's the difference, basically, right? If they're both using OpenAI system or different things like this, like Netflix, for example, like there was a whole suite of like production studios that had launched up to like take advantage of like the streaming TV services and stuff like this. But like now anyone can do this stuff. It's just it's quite mind-boggling. I mean,
so I think we talked on this pod about a year ago, but not a year ago. We haven't been around for a year. 6 months ago, about that the day is coming where you will just talk to your TV and it'll create a film on the fly with the story and characters you want, right? That looked like a long way away beginning of this year. Now it doesn't. It's probably, I'm guessing, 2 years away.
I mean, you could say like, I want to watch more Breaking Bad. Create more episodes for me, from something which didn't occur, and it'll just like it can do this stuff like this. It's really quite.
You can put yourself in it. Anyway, it's really exciting because it is super powerful. But as Aalok said, there are a couple of things that are important for AI for business. One is what Aalok said there is that very soon you're not going to be completely unfettered capability to create content to the highest quality for your business. Animation, videos, images, product shots, whatever you want, you'll be able to prompt it. And you won't be able to tell from almost a studio made output. Second thing to remember is this is exponential. So we had Will Smith eating spaghetti all over the place. Now you've got Sora. What we're going to have in, you know, a year's time, 2 years' time, that curve, that exponential curve we talk about quite a lot. We're in the foothills of it. Now we're beginning to enter the more vertical bit of it as well. And the last thing to always remember is this is the worst it's ever going to be today. And what we're seeing now is not the cutting, bleeding edge. That's just what they're willing to show us. And what Sam Altman said, and there's been a lot of talk about this, is that Sora we're almost showing you just to warm you up to what we've really got. And we'll leave that there.
Just one thing, when it's come to AI for business, just one thing with AI for business, because like I was watching a translation of Vladimir Putin's interview with Tucker Carlson, and it had been done with like, you know, the lip sync and the voice, and he was speaking in his own accent in English, and it was very engaging. So like, again, with this kind of video content, like now you can be in multilingual any language, you can create any kind of content you want, you can put yourself into any scene. You really, like, the way you can communicate as a company, you have no limits now.
Well, anything that comes out of Tucker Carlson's mouth is engaging for all the wrong reasons normally. anyway, so sovereign AI, this is another one moving on. So essentially, this is OpenAI trying to raise, you know, 5 or 7 trillion. You're seeing some nation states like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia very interested in becoming a kind of an AI first state almost. What you need though is the commitment, the mindset, and a huge amount of infrastructure. But what people are saying is this was Jensen Huang, the CEO founder of NVIDIA, saying that you're going to develop nation state AI, so sovereign AIs. And this is going to be incredibly powerful. And again, any country, any nation state, and I kind of push this quite a lot. I was at Anthropy last year talking about this to, you know, the great and the good, about we have to, especially in the UK or any country, understand that if you get left behind in this race, it's not the space race, get left behind in this race, you're done.
It's the last race.
Yeah, it's the last race. And some countries, I think like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, they have the money, they have the need, because, you know, we're moving out of a fossil fuel sort of a based economy, and they see the opportunity and they're going after it quite hard. So it's an enormous opportunity to transform our sort of society's economies into AI first ones. And there's no point being, if you're a historian, you know, the Luddites pushing back on this. There's been a lot of people freaking out about Sora. That's not going to stop the development of this technology. All right, moving on. So going back to OpenAI, ChatGPT are testing memory. So if you use large language models, the frustration is often you have to keep going back and telling everything you wanted to keep to retain the context. Now in ChatGPT Plus, you've got things like custom instruction, where you can give in some information about you, what you want, what you're trying to do, how you want it to relate to you, which is very, very helpful. You don't have to repeat yourself. But what you really want to have a real kind of operating system is, we have RAM now almost. We haven't really got sort of, you know, a hard drive. So what they're saying is that ChatGPT is going to have memory over time, where it'll remember everything you've done and learn from it. So it'll know what you like, it'll know what you ask for, it'll know how you write even. Now, very powerful, but also some massive privacy issues. So I look forward to that. Now, on LLMs, so Google Gemini, we mentioned this last week. Again, going back to the pace of change, they launched Google Gemini. So they've kind of now combined all their brands, you know, Bard's gone into Gemini. So you've got Gemini Nano, Gemini Pro, is it? And Gemini, well, it's confusing. You've got the Nano, which is a small one, we work for devices. You've got Pro, which is the middle one. Then you've got the big one, but they've called it Advanced. It was called Ultra, but the product you buy is now Advanced. Anyway, they're now launching, it was announced by DeepMind, Gemini 1.5.
Yeah.
And the big news here seems to be, I'm sure it's a better model, but it seems to be the context window is 1 million tokens.
Yes. So this is actually astronomical, because they've shown some quite mind-blowing examples. Like number one, like for example, this means that you can have up to 1 million, or I've seen even 1.5 million multimodal tokens. I want to come back to that, right? So they've shown, like for example, they put a huge amount into the prompt, because now you've got like 1 million tokens in the prompt. You can have literally anything in there. So they found a language that was spoken by less than 200 people that the AI had never seen, And they trained it on more than 400 pages worth of conversations. And it was able, just from the prompt, just from loading in the prompt, to understand and converse in that language. That's insane. Then I saw examples where they actually loaded in a video. So you just load in a video, for example, and it was like a YouTube video. And then it said, like, where in this 45-minute video is someone taking a piece of paper out of someone's pocket, and what is on that piece of paper, and it detected it immediately, and it said straight away. I mean, there's a few minutes of processing, but it found it straight away. And then they did another thing where they actually sketched basically like a stick diagram of a person in front of like a water canister, but it's just a sketch, and said, where is this scene in the film? And it detected it as well. So the power of like having 1 million context tokens, and they also did things where they put in like historical novels, and they changed one thing. Let's just say in Charles Dickens' book, they wrote like he took out his iPhone 6 or something like that, right? Just one place, like in the whole book, and it detected all of those things just by saying what anomalies are within this, basically. So
that's quite powerful, isn't it? Because a lot of the
for
models
legal, for legal application,
for legal, yeah, because they struggle to find in big documents, and the video is a big document essentially, these small snippets, don't they?
Yes, and now you've got basically almost precision recall on this. I think what we have to like draw the line here is like we've already we passed the Turing test a while ago, and there wasn't much of a fanfare about that, basically, where you wouldn't know if you're dealing with a human or a machine. And like I would have expected there would have been like more fanfare about that. But now we're just exceeding the capability in all spheres. No human can go through 400 to 600 pages of text and detect 2 or 3 anomalies. Like, no one can do that.
Well, it's better than that. A million tokens is essentially the entire Harry Potter series of books you can upload, and a video. I mean, you couldn't do that, a couple of months ago. Uploading a video and ask it to understand and sort of and it's using this mixture of experts, isn't it? So there's different ways you can use LLMs, and I think Gemini 1.5 or Gemini, whatever they're going to call it, is using a technique where almost, I don't how do you explain how it works, but it's more about not having one LLM in one context window. It's using kind of almost like expertise built into it.
But this unlocks so many applications, like from proofreading, from quality assurance, from even like, security camera monitoring for like, can you imagine the police being able to like deconstruct the movements of what happened in an area, like over the last 4 days, for example, and then see like, was this person spotted and stuff like this? Like all these sorts of things, that the power of these systems to be integrated into like real life use cases is astronomical.
And what's driving this? What's driving this is competition. So, you've got ChatGPT, you've got Google, and you can see that they literally launched Gemini last week, and now they're talking about Gemini 1.5.
And then they released Sora, basically, isn't it? Right? Like,
and you got Sora. Then you got 11 Labs. They announced as the sound effects capability. It's fascinating, but the competition and the money behind this technology, because winner takes all almost, is what's driving it. Let's move on. So Amazon have developed another sort of large model, which is a text-to-speech model. So we use these quite a lot. You may have noticed in our sort of audio and voice agents as well. And this is called a big adaptive streamable TTS with emergent abilities. Catchy name. And by emergent abilities, you're seeing this in Sora. What this is that, for example, you train a large language model in English. It reads a book about how to learn Spanish. It's written in English. It's got the 2 languages, and it learns Spanish. And you're seeing in Sora that I think what they're saying is that it's not just creating 24 frames in a second. What it is saying is, here's a snowball, and it's been thrown against the wall, and therefore it understands the concept of the snowball and the physics. And that's what it's tracking, actually, not just creating lots of still images and putting them together, slamming them all together to make a video. So you're seeing emerging capabilities. Now, what's interesting about the Amazon model, I think, is, I'm going to read some of the things here, is that it can handle things like compound nouns, emotions, like, oh gosh, an exclamation mark, which they're not very good at quite now. Foreign words, so the English language had quite a few foreign words in there, the cul-de-sac, for example, so it'll use those. Readable non-words, things like shh. So what it is doing is making the language more sort of human, to the point where you won't be able to notice complex punctuation, questions, rhetorical questions, and you don't see it a lot currently in the models, but that's where it's going as well. So again, text to speech within a year will be indistinguishable from a human.
I mean, like, just as an example, right? Like, so with the voice agent that we use, like, we've got like one our voice agent, Jess, like the dad of the real Jess. So we got like one of our someone we know very well, and she lent her voice to it, and her dad did a call with it, and it was quite interesting because he said it was very human, very lifelike, and he found it like very difficult to like not slip into a normal conversation, basically. Like, so even when you like the humanness of these voices is becoming powerful.
There's been some moving on. Sam Altman again, OpenAI. We also can't really avoid them really in these recordings. Is that they're talking about GPT-5 really? So, and what they're saying is that GPT-4. He said this. So GPT-4, the thing we were all excited about and what it can do. He said you can compare that to the early mobile phones. This is Aalok. This is your Nokia Snake moment.
Exactly.
So he's saying that GPT-4. And he said this when they launched this last year as well. That it's going to be quaint. So he's saying that GPT-5 is going to be smarter and faster across the board. So in terms of all modalities, in terms of everything it currently does, it's going to be smarter and faster. How smarter and how faster we don't know, but even incremental changes here, it compounds. They have a huge impact on the abilities model. So. We don't know when GPT-5 is coming, but whenever it does, if you're looking at what Sora can do now, there's going to be some world-changing. I guarantee it. Remember our words. We said this in our predictions end of last year as well. It's going to be some world-changing developments.
Yeah, and like they already like GPT-4 is still the strongest model in many situations, basically, right? Like other companies have not caught up yet, like, and they're going to push out 5. So there's going to be some really interesting things where they talked about like how it can control screens and do different things. But like we're moving into what we call the agentic form of AI, but we'll talk about that later on.
I think Gemini is getting there if you're sort of for Google, but still across the board, you look at things like Sora.
Yeah,
they don't have that.
I subscribe to the Gemini. Like I don't have the Pro one, but I subscribe to the normal one just as part of my Google Workplaces thing, and I didn't like it. You know, like it's not a good interface. It's just
quite fast though. I mean, I've got the advanced one, the Pro Ultra, whatever they call it, which is the product is called Advanced, and it's fast, definitely a lot faster than OpenAI, but it hasn't got all the capabilities. The image rendering is not as good, for example. And we might have our first use case for image for vision, haven't we? Which we'll come back to when we do that.
Yeah.
Right, so a couple of legal things. We always follow the copyright because copyright is quite important if you're in business. So US copyright claims, all these authors saying that it's been using our works and it's a copyright infringement. They've kind of been, they keep getting thrown out. So we're not seeing that that's how copyright law is going to be applied. It's more similar to, you read a book, you're inspired and you create some other artwork, they can't argue that you've copied or breached copyright. So that's a good thing. There's a public policy issue there as well, because if they were winning these cases, they're going to become very, very wealthy because everything that these large language models churn out, they're going to get paid for, or it's going to hold it back. So I'm quite glad to see that. And just a little one as well, which I found quite interesting, is that I think it's Air Canada chatbot hallucinated some policies. I don't know quite what the situation was, like Q&A, FAQ, or policies. And then it went to court, and the court held that they couldn't blame the large language model. It was their chatbot, it was Air Canada, it was presented as their policies, and therefore they're liable and they've got to pay out. So that's quite an interesting one about going forwards, about checking and having checks and balances. This is why the mixture of experts model works quite well, but having checks and balances on things end up becoming contractual. And as a lawyer, the offer, the acceptance, the consideration, all that.
That comes down to like how the way the policy is set up. That comes down to like also like what they use the AI for. That's why like in terms of like capturing data versus like suggestions. There's many things that kind of like they didn't do in that situation. Basically,
I was quite surprised though that you need LLM to create policies. They're fixed in time normally, so I don't quite know why there's generating policies. Anyway, just an interesting point there about the legalities. That's something to think about if you're in business. And the last thing really is that the US, this is about deepfakes and NFT. We talked about this before as well, is that as you see more and more content becoming indistinguishable from things created by individuals or being individuals, deepfakes, or be created by studios or news outlets, NFTs are probably going to find their use case. And it's not going to be, buying some digital monkey, is going to be that all content is going to need to be verified or essentially watermarked. And the US President, Joe Biden, has floated the idea of cryptographically verifying all official communications. And I think it's not just going to be official communications. Eventually, it's going to be all communications. You're going to have an NFT when your mum calls you to make sure it's not your mum telling you to send you to make sure it is your mum telling you to send her some money.
Yeah, it's going to get complicated because even if you try and watermark something, if you screenshot the thing, it disappears and all that kind of stuff. So like, it's going to be challenging. Let's put it that way.
So we'll see how that pans out.
Two-factor authentication. Your mum is going to send you an SMS to verify it's you, basically.
That's what you're going to need. You're going to need two-factor authentication on everything, because not everyone's going to have access to systems and understand how to use them to create and apply NFTs and have it sort of linked to a blockchain. Whew. So that's just this week. Who knows what will happen next week? So it's all very exciting. Again, try and focus on AI for business. We've got several white papers. We're going to talk about one in a moment. So if you haven't got them, there's a QR code up there. You can use that to go and download our toolkit. We have our AI Insider newsletter. We're just about to sort of revamp our website, actually. So if you get there and it doesn't quite look the way we just described it, you'll be able to find these things. Just about to update that because things have moved on. So we have an AI Insider newsletter. We're launching a sort of a resource center where all this stuff was going to reside, which you can sign up to. AI training. So again, we say this every week. Typically, a lot of our clients start with training or AI boardroom briefing. That's going to level up your senior leadership team. And the training courses, if you go to our AI, implementai.io/training, I'll put the QR code up there as well. You can see all of our courses, prompt engineering, AI fundamentals, all the way through to quite advanced sort of innovation. And Microsoft Copilot's one as well. So go and download those. And the one we focus on normally is AI Activate. So that's our 60-day sprint. It's your first step on how to start implementing AI, policies, training, upskilling your team, looking at workflows, processes, automating them, an MVP. So by the end of it, you understand the technology, the power of it, how it can impact your business and how you implement it. And you've got a roadmap to go and do that. Right, so this week, our theme, moving on, is going to be, again, our second white paper about AI agents. This is kind of what we do, Aalok, isn't it? Is develop AI agents, these AIs that augment humans. Humans have jobs, right? And in the longer term, all bets are off, right? Today, AIs don't do jobs. What they're very good at are doing tasks. So if your job description has 20 tasks in, there's 5 that you really enjoy, really meaningful, maybe 10. So let's call it 5. And there's 15 that are mundane, things you have to do, but you'd rather not. What we're trying to develop at AIs, they can do some things that humans can't do, like analyzing phone calls and huge amounts of data. But also what they can do is automate tasks, and more of them over time. And what that means is that your workforce does more meaningful work, they add more value. We can give some real examples of that. And your organization means that these AI agents, they don't sleep, they don't need holidays, and they're very accurate. Means that your organization becomes optimized, becomes more efficient, more effective. So we've got this white paper, download it, read it. You'll learn a lot about where the world is going and where your business is going. This is a massive shift in, just organizational design, having a virtual workforce as well as a human workforce, how they work together, how they augment each other, how you have humans in the loop. But the potential of AI agents to enhance productivity and reduce costs across an organization is huge. We have one use case in healthcare. We'll go into detail maybe in the future, where the revenue is kind of locked, really. Often our clients talk about revenue growth. So the revenue is kind of locked, you're in healthcare, and you get what you get. And what the agents do is make it more efficient, optimize the delivery of the services. So actually their cost goes down, so it grows their profit. But typically AI agents, they can help you grow revenue and reduce costs. In the middle is more profit and more valuable businesses.
Exactly. So if we think about it really simply, in any business, you have your human workforce. They have a job description, they're trained, they're onboarded, and they're supported to make sure that they do their tasks as needed. The thing is, in every single workday, there's a certain number of tasks they can do. So let's just give an example. Like there was one role that we're talking about. I won't be specific, but their job is to contact like a lot of people and verify information about those people. So for example, that person can call 3 people an hour because they have to call them, update the data systems based off that, and at the same time then go to the next person. And they may not reach those people as well when they try and call them. So then they're losing those time. But that person, so one staff member can reach, 3 people an hour, 6 hours a day of phone calls, probably not doing 6 hours a day of phone calls, but let's just say 18 people, for example. Then it also means that they also have to do other tasks. Like let's just say they also need to order some things, or they need to update some policies or documents. So there's a capacity limit to it. AI agents are where they can, like Piers said, they can actually take over certain parts of workflows and certain types of tasks. So the voice agent is quite a clear, simple example, because the voice agent could call 4 people at the same time at the optimal time. So let's just say, for example, you think morning between 8 and 9 a.m., or lunchtime between 12 and 1 p.m., or evening between 6 and 7 p.m. Let's say they're the optimal times. Normally, a person can only call 3 people between 8 and 9, 3 people between 12 and 1, and 3 people between 6 and 7. So that's the maximum you could reach, 9 people, and if you don't reach them, you can't go there. AI could then do groups of 50 or 100 during those windows to capture the data for more people. So AI agents can literally be the assistant of your team members. So that's what we call by augmenting, so more stuff gets done. So that's one example. Let's talk about a different example. Imagine you work in procurement. So you're buying supplies for different businesses, and obviously the cost of the supplies is very important. So you've got a few people that you're keeping an eye on, and you're searching, and you've even got some Google alerts set up for certain things. But with an AI agent that was basically a price comparator, what it could be doing is every single day it could be looking on, let's say, 50 to 100 places, and it could also potentially be putting in dynamic requests for proposal places in different areas, and it could be updating you on different pricing opportunities that come in. So like we talked about a while ago, how AI agents can ruthlessly optimize for cost. In this job, that's what you're trying to do. So an AI agent that was dealt with procurement could really enhance the productivity of the person, because generally speaking, like imagine you're looking at the whole supplies list of a company. That person who works in procurement can only contact a certain number of places a day, and they can only focus on a certain number of the highest value use cases. But with an AI agent that's also doing it, it could actually optimize all those different areas. The same thing comes for training. The same thing comes for HR, interviewing, screening candidates. It also comes for customer success, like following up with every single one of your customers that bought something, asking if they got any problems. Again, AI agents can do these things. So the thing to think about here is, if you don't have any kind of AI agent doing tasks for you, or helping you engage your customers better, or helping you identify cost savings better, or helping you expand your capacity to reactivate inactive customers, what are you doing basically, right? Because you're losing money. Like, I mean, we've talked with companies where they maybe get 5,000 leads a month, and they said, we try and call each person 3 times, but we found that because of the staff that we've got, and we've lost a few people, we can only call each of these leads once. So that there's all these people that we didn't reach, because we reached 70% on the first time and 30% we never did. So if it's like, let's just say 5,000, then, a third of that, was not reached, 1,300 or more basically, So the key thing here is we have almost accepted a certain amount of waste, and we've almost accepted a certain amount of like opportunity loss within business, because we only have a certain number of staff, and we only have a certain number of hours in the day, and that's just the consistent narrative. But with AI agents, you can rethink and say, actually, let's increase the capacity in this team, let's increase capacity in this team, let's increase capacity in this team. And this is where the wins come from. The wins don't come from like you suddenly release some groundbreaking new solution or product that no one's ever heard for and everyone's excited. That's not how you win. You win by doing the standard stuff better, more consistently, more predictably. And this is what AI is there for. So
Well,
really,
that's what we do, isn't it? So it's literally going through every process and workflow and say, how can I automate it? How can I augment the people doing that?
and expand capacity.
What Alok's talked about there is things that humans do, right? A lot of our AIs that we're deploying with our clients, they do things that humans can never do, just in terms of the scale of the data, the speed they do things, the way in which they can access information. So what the other side of this coin is that if you're not augmenting people with artificial intelligence so they can do the things they want to do, we say this every week, why the hell are they going to come and work for you? And as the research said that we mentioned last week, the McKinsey research, is that once you start getting ahead, Will Smith, Sora, we talked about earlier, that curve starts to kick off. It becomes very, very hard to catch up. And what we realize with our clients, we talk about this podcast and what we do, and we do meetings and pitches, is that people are going to look at you sometimes a bit like a rabbit in headlights. You know, they're a bit like, what the hell? What are they talking about? Where is this going? And the point is that what we always say is, don't worry about that too much. Just get on the pitch, and I don't really like football, but I always use a metaphor. Get on the pitch and kick the ball around and just work out what is the power of it. How can I speed things? At Alok's point, capacity. I mean, at the end of the day,
Capacity.
what we're all trying to do is create machines, aren't we, that make money.
Capacity is the big one, like expanding capacity, and then, you know, like for frontline customer support, also analytics on what people are looking for. We were talking about a different business where they were saying that we're going after certain types of company, and I was mentioning to them, like, well, you know, you could have an AI agent that's looking for the bad reviews of people that weren't happy with other services or other things like this, and like look for things. So I think what I'm trying to say is that, like, there are significant opportunities before you start working your way down the field, but just think in the basics of capacity. I mean, like, for example, in medical, there's always a big workforce issue, and the whole point here is you need to get more done with less people, because we're all living longer and we're all getting more diseases and we're all expecting more stuff. So capacity is one of the big things, and ultimately, for different factors, you also get like complexities when you have a certain number of humans in a particular workforce. Then you have complexities based on, like, you know, culture, this, that, and all that kind of stuff. So all I'm trying to say is that, like, you definitely need to have like a well-maintained and well-motivated team, but you also want to really, really give serious thought to, like, how can AI agents expand our capacity, provide a buffer capacity, almost provide a kind of like a fallback layer, so that you've got the continuity systems of what's going on. And right now, in our news section, what you just need to think about is, like, every time we talk about news and we say, like, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, just imagine it's like a new capability that's arising within your business. Like, how could you use that? What would you do with that? You know, and there's so many things ranging from, you know,
and what you're gonna see, Alok, isn't it, is that now we talk about kind of discrete agents looking at discrete tasks, and they're very good at it. But increasingly, what we're working on, there's different ways of doing this, is to make them communicate, make them collaborate, make them learn. So now you've got a team, actually. So you can have a team of AI agents, not quite there yet, but it's coming, supporting your human team, and in some cases even managing them. So essentially, you have humans in the loop. Now, what the human in the loop currently does is management, oversight, QA, and adding that kind of human insight. But eventually, you might find the AIs are the ones actually controlling and telling the humans where they should actually go and be applying their human capabilities.
These 5 people talk to these ones. Like, I saw a very nice video, actually, so we can talk about this. It was basically showing this company's called Indoor Robotics, and they show a drone, which basically is a small indoor drone, and it docks on this kind of pad which is in the ceiling. Basically, it looks like a small light. And what that drone does is then it does security inspections. So it then de-docks, flies around the place. It identifies, you know, is there a person here? Is there a window open? Is there a door open? Is there some unnatural water leakage? There's something like this. So it's basically replacing the guard walking around everywhere. So you could have a guard that could be like managing an enormous building, and you've got the fleet of drones that kind of like go around and doing the different checks. And then when it's needed, they alert the person. So what I'm trying to say, like, it just expands your capacity. And these AI agents can be, you know, digital, or in this way, they can also be physical as well, basically, isn't it? You know,
I mean, eventually, I mean, different podcasts, we have embodied AI. So the actual guard will be.
The drone is kind of like that, isn't it? So yeah,
well, it hasn't got hands and feet. It's got to go and tell a human to do something. But this is coming. So all we try in this podcast really is educate you about AI for business news. We go through a theme to try and help you understand how that can be applied in the real world. We've got increased number of cases. We don't tend to use names because they're clients. We've got increasing number of case studies, real world examples of how this is changing. And we can, you know, I'm standing up actually, you're probably sitting down a lot, but we can sort of say that our clients, it is transform their businesses. And I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an investor for many years. I work with businesses of all sizes, and it's fascinating. It's exciting to see what they can actually do with this technology. So if you haven't read our white papers, go and read the first one, AI Assisted Organization. I'll put the toolkit is up there, the QR code, and read this one, because this one is going to explain to you what the future of your workforce and employment is going to look like. And increasingly, the talent that matters is going to be interviewing you about how you're going to augment them, so they don't have to do all the crap that they don't like doing. AI of the week is an obvious one. It's Sora. You can't
Yeah.
play with it, annoyingly. I know some people have got access to it, but they're under NDA. But go and look at the OpenAI blog. There's lots of videos on YouTube as well. It's Sora, and just go and look at the capability and the quality of its output. And go and look at 11 labs. So it's 11, that number 11 labs. And go and look at how they've added then audio and soundscapes and over the top of that. And you'll see that within 2 years, you will be creating your own, don't know quite how long, but videos or TV programs on the fly. Right, so as we always say, sign up for our AI Insider newsletter, download the white papers, have a look at our training academy. If you want to know more about how we can help you in your business, get in contact with us. That's it for this week. I'm going to be in Budapest at the weekend, Aalok.
Oh, nice.
Been taken away, belated birthday present. And then next week, we're going to start gearing up for our the various events that we're doing. So please do look out for our posts. If you've signed up to us already, you'll get some emails about the events. It'd be fantastic to meet you in person. So come down and see us. It's worth getting on a train. It's transformative. And Elite Business Live is a great event to be at as well, by a good friend of mine, Scott, who puts that on. So that's it for this week. This is the AI Assisted Organization podcast. Goodbye for myself, Piers and Aalok, and Dr. Aalok Shukla. We'll see you again next week.
See ya.